Strategy is important, but execution is everything. Incredibly successful people focus on executing incredibly well. Jeff Haden. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. Last week, I had the pleasure of doing an Instagram Live with a lady by the name of Laureen Alexa, who is the founder of a community called Strength and Glory. We focused on the 3 things that are pivotal for kickstarting your business. But what I recognized and realized and shared with Laureen is not only are those 3 things needed for kickstarting your business, there are also 3 things that are needed to sustain your business. Now, the first 2 I've talked about a lot lately because they keep coming up for me. They keep coming up either through my own business, through my business coaching, or through various conversations. The first one is making sure that your business solves a problem. If you have been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that one of the first questions I ask most of my guests on the podcast is, what problem were you trying to solve when you started your business? And again, I've mentioned this before, and I just want to talk a little bit more about it. I know I mentioned the conversation that I had with my daughter, Imana, about the fact that every business solves a problem, even problems that we don't know we have. If you can find a business that solves a really big problem that a lot of people have, you are in the right place. However, the key to sustaining your business is you must continue to solve a problem for people. For example, at one point, we had to go to Blockbuster to rent a videotape or a CD. Well, for Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, there was a problem. There was a problem of late fees for returns, the problem of fees for not remembering to rewind the tape back. And the biggest problem of all was the problem of having to stop in the middle of your Sunday afternoon to return the movie that we rented on Friday. The founders of Netflix solved all of that. None of us were even looking for that solution, but someone solved that problem and they solved it. And we loved it. Now we're at a point where we don't even have to deal with the discs. We don't have to worry about them getting scratched up or dropping them in the mailbox because now movies stream right into our homes. But you see, the point here is that Blockbuster failed to continue to solve problems. Now stay with me here. At one point, though, they did solve a problem. They brought us movies at home. Sure, we had to go out and rent them, but this was new and innovative. We did not have to wait until they were on TV years later. They solved that problem, but they didn't go beyond that initial problem. They did not calculate in new technology. So to that point, you have to continue to solve a problem that you may or may not see is there. You have to look at the hassles that your customers may be experiencing and solve that before someone else does. This is the essential piece for sustaining your business. You may have to innovate in order to continue to solve your customers' problems because the frustrations and the irritations can and will change for your customer. I'll give you a personal example. In our business Deuces Closet, when we opened it as a fraternity and sorority boutique. We had been serving the fraternity and sorority market for over 5 years, and we thought opening a retail store that could provide members with a wonderful place to shop for cool, unique, and trendy items would be a great idea. However, we quickly learned that though it was a good idea, it did not solve a problem for enough people. It was simply not sustainable. We had to change our business model. Had we stayed where we were, we probably would not be in business. We were blessed, though. We had people walk into our store and ask us, "Are you able to do something like this for a movie or for a business?" And our answer was yes. We then saw a problem that we could solve for companies, for the movie industry. We were able to address those problems. We had the equipment, we had the materials, we could do it. Second part to that is we also had people who would walk into the store and really need a shirt tomorrow. And initially our response was no, because we had not wrapped our head around being able to do it fast. We had our queue. We had our queue in our business. We did have rush options, but our rush options were at the fastest was a week. And at the time, we could not wrap our head around doing it any faster. But what we ended up implementing was a rush calculator, a pricing calculator that allowed us to do things same day, next day. Now, in those quick cases, people have to bring their things to us to embroider, but it's okay. It has been working out. And truthfully, we live in a society that people simply want things faster. I call it the Amazon effect. And so we had to change and innovate and solve the problems that were actually coming in our door, whether we were prepared for it or not. And honestly, the profit margins on those rush items are amazing. They are great for our business. And by the way, customers love this service because even though they spend more money for a rush item, they can now wear this logoed shirt to a conference tomorrow where they could potentially make more money than they spent doing it. So they are excited that they found us. We solved their problem. Okay, I'll stop harping on the solving of a problem in a second because I think you all get it. But there will be cases when things happen and your business has to change. It has to solve a new problem. It may be something that someone brings you, or it may be just you having to keep your eyes and ears open to discover what people are looking for. What are they asking for? What do you see that's changing with technology or innovation around you? So, sustaining your business will require that you continue to solve your customers' problems. The next thing that Laureen and I talked about during our live was pricing. This is one that is so key to your business. Your business success can hinge on pricing your products or services correctly. Again, I've said it before. I think it was last week even. If you're not careful, you will find yourself just having an expensive hobby, or you will price yourself right out of business. Actually, I don't know if I said this on the show. I think it was actually in the Level Up Living newsletter. I believe that's where I talked about, I know actually in the Level Up Living newsletter, I talked about in the Money Matters section how important pricing is for your business and how you have to evaluate your pricing, reevaluate your pricing on a consistent basis. So as an aside to that, if you're not subscribed to the Become Your Own Boss community, do so, because there are topics that I cover in the newsletter that I don't always talk about on the show, or I may have talked about on the show a couple of years ago. So make sure you are subscribed to the Become Your Own Boss community so you can have access to the newsletter. But back to pricing. Pricing is important because you want to make sure that you stay in business. However, pricing can be scary because you don't want to feel like you're outpricing the market. But as my marketing teacher told me many, many years ago, you do not want your differentiating factor to be price. You have to have a differentiating factor in your business, but you don't want it to be price from the perspective of being the lowest price. Now, you can be a luxury brand and be more expensive, but you don't want to compete on price because my marketing teacher told us that's the fastest way to the bottom. And none of us want to be at the bottom. Now, you may be saying, well, it worked for Walmart, but Walmart squeezes their vendors so hard. And most of us as small business owners simply don't have that type of power. Walmart is everywhere. It's a volumes game because people who supply Walmart with things, they're just looking at volume. They can put their product in thousands of stores, but we don't have that type of power. So the cost of your products have to be included in your pricing. The cost of subscriptions, your computer, your electricity that makes your business run. If you lease or own, you pay a mortgage where your business is housed, whatever it is, you have to make sure that that is accounted for in your pricing. Again, pricing is so important. I'm actually thinking about hosting a pricing workshop, and truthfully, it will be free because I think this is so important for businesses' survival. If you think you would be interested in attending a pricing workshop, let me know. I don't want to put it out there if nobody's going to come, but if you think you would be interested in a pricing workshop, please email me. My email is monica@monicaallen.com, or you can DM me on Instagram because I would love and be happy to talk about pricing with you and about your business. Now, the last thing Laureen and I talked about was execution. I know a lot of people take time to execute on that initial business idea because you want to kind of get your ducks in a row. And I understand that. You want to understand who your target market is. You want to make sure you're solving a problem. You want to get your pricing right. So sometimes executing on that initial business idea can be tough, and that's okay. But you have to do it in order to kickstart your business. You also have to do it to sustain your business. And to execute on a multitude of things, you have to prioritize that. And as a solopreneur, if you're a solopreneur, you're just busy changing out the hats from day to day, from bookkeeping to actually providing the product or the service that you sell to, cleaning up your station or wherever you work. You are wearing a lot of hats. And truthfully, execution can be exhausting because there just never seems to be enough time in the day or enough space to execute all the things that you need to execute on. But the key to it is prioritizing. And I mentioned that already, but the way to do that is to put pen to paper, as my friend Nina would say. You have to write things down. I'm old school. I use a planner. I use an electronic calendar too, but that's more for what's going on in my day as far as meeting with clients. But my planner is really about my prioritizing. And I set those priorities based on my goals that I set for myself at the beginning of the year. And I break those down monthly and then weekly. And I prioritize executing on what is required to get those things done, to move my business forward. And you have to keep in mind too, your priorities can change. For example, at the beginning of 2023, Ethan and I, we were very centered and prioritized selling our first franchise. And we opened our Kennesaw store as a franchise model, but we did not want to still be responsible for that store. So our goal was to sell it and have a franchisee. However, as we moved closer to the end of our lease, we had to recalibrate. We had to reprioritize. And we had to decide if that is something we truly wanted to do. Did we want to be responsible for franchisees? Pre-COVID, we wanted to grow our business through a franchise model. He and I had decided that. We had our franchise documents drawn up. We were ready to go. That was our goal, to have Zeus's closets all around the country and even in other parts of the world. But after COVID, a lot of things changed and our priorities changed around our family and what business meant to us and how we wanted our business to really support who we are as people, both together as well as individually. So priorities change, and those priorities are what we are executing on now. So in order to stay in your business, execution is key. Or I should say, in order to stay in business, execution is key. And a key component to that is prioritizing. I truly enjoyed my conversation with Laureen and just talking about these 3 keys to not only kickstarting a business, but sustaining your business. I truly suggest checking out her community on Instagram, as she is very supportive of women in business, as well as women who love God and want to grow not only spiritually, but have a deeper connection with other people, have a healthier mindset. So check her out. Her community is called the Strength and Glory Community. I am currently watching this series on Netflix called Live to 100. I would love to be a centenarian, but a healthy one. I don't want to be over 100 and frail and in bed and out of my mind. I want to be lively, and I still want to be able to get around and in my right mind. One of the things they talk about in this series, and what seems to be a commonality in what they call the blue zones, these are areas that have a lot of centenarians. The key is community. And I mentioned Lauren's community. I've mentioned the Become Your Own Boss community, where you can get access to the Level Up Living newsletter and connect with other entrepreneurs. But last week, I also talked about Boss Life Collective, which is a small group of entrepreneurs that I'm putting together again, who are really focused, highly focused on growing their business. Within the Boss Life Collective, I'm the moderator, but I'm really there to help you when it comes to execution within your business. We can talk pricing. We'll really talk about all the things within your business, but it really boils down to me making sure you are executing on the things that will move the needle in your business. If you are interested in Boss Life Collective, you probably already know what problem you solve, but the main point of this collective of entrepreneurs is to really execute. I find us entrepreneurs, especially small business owners, we spend a lot of time working in our business on the day-to-day. But rarely do we have time or sit time aside to work on our business. But within this group of people, we will meet bi-weekly for an hour and a half, and we will actually work on our business at that time. If you want to find out more about Boss Life Collective, you can see the link in the show notes, or you can message me on Instagram. It will entail the bi-weekly meetings, as I mentioned, but it will also include a one-on-one monthly meeting with me, as well as the Become Your Own Boss planner that will help us through the entire 6-month program. And most importantly, you have the support and community of other entrepreneurs. Now, this is limited to just 6 people because the goal is to really add value to you and your business. So again, see the link in the show notes. You can schedule a call with me so we can chat and really see if it's a good fit for you and your business. Thank you for joining me today. In the process of growing your business, make sure that you continue to solve a problem for people or other companies. Make sure you reevaluate your pricing. We didn't talk a whole lot about the reevaluation process, but you want to make sure you take a look at it, I would say annually, because subscription prices go up, the cost of goods go up, cost of labor often goes up. That could be your virtual assistant, that could be your team members. Costs continue to go up. So making sure you're checking that pricing. And lastly, execution. Execution is the key. I'm so grateful that you took the time to listen. Take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Remember, when you subscribe to the podcast, you automatically get that downloaded into your podcast app that you use. So you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. It's just as you're listening to your podcast, one day I'll pop up and I'll start talking to you about, being your own boss and doing all those things. And you won't miss an episode. And if you have a moment, pop over to Apple or Spotify and leave a review. You can leave a 5-star review if you feel that way. I hope you do. Or you can write a review, which is great. It helps the podcast grow. So take a moment to do that if you enjoy listening to the show. We would greatly appreciate it. And remember, now is the time. Not tomorrow, but now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.